Where the danger comes in is that Trump seems to think that Andy Burnham's told him he's going to open it up. And it's really what is in his head when he says that? Does he expect rather more than we think the government's prepared to do?
While he was speaking at the White House this evening, President Trump was also asked for his views on our new Prime Minister, Andy Burnham.
Well, he did say one very good thing. He said he's going to open up North Sea oil. If he does that, you're going to be a wealthy country. If he does it reasonably. I was telling Prime Minister Starmer, open up the North Sea. Open it up. You'll be okay. Open it up. They have two problems. They have a huge immigration problem, people coming from all over the world and just camping out in your country. And we've taken a very tough stand. In fact, for 14 months, nobody has come into our country. Zero, which is almost hard to believe, but that's what the report says. Our borders become very strong, and your border's very weak. He's got that problem. And he's got energy problem. He's got windmills all over the place. And anytime you see windmills, you see a failing country.
Well, President Trump, well known for not liking those wind turbines, windmills as he likes to call them. What do you think this signals for the relationship between Andy Burnham and Donald Trump? David Charter is the assistant US editor for The Times and joins us now. Hello, David.
Hello, Carole. Good afternoon from Washington, D.C.
Great to have you with us. What do you make of those latest remarks from the president?
Well, I think it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because Trump has picked up and approves of the fact that Andy Burnham is addressing North Sea oil and spoke about it with him on their only phone call to date, which was on his first day in Downing Street, of course, last week. And that's a good thing. It seems that he started off, as far as relations are concerned, between the two men. It's a good thing that Trump knows that Andy Burnham has a slightly different focus to Keir Starmer on the North Sea. Where the danger comes in is that Trump seems to think that Andy Burnham's told him he's going to open it up. And it's really what is in his head when he says that. Does he expect rather more than we think the government's prepared to do?
Yeah, I think actually what Andy Burnham's government is looking at is potentially allowing some drilling in two specific North Sea oil fields, Rosebank and Jackdaw. I think the idea that they're going to open up the whole of the North Sea, I'm not quite sure that the president's got the right end of the stick there.
Well, it's quite hard to know exactly what's in Trump's head. He does exaggerate a little bit. So I say there is a positive here that he knows that Andy Burnham is prepared to do a bit more than Keir Starmer. And then, there was a long passage that followed the quotes that you used about Trump saying how he kept asking Keir Starmer to do it and he just wouldn't do it. And then Trump said something interesting. He said, you have areas of the North Sea that haven't even been explored yet. You have one of the most valuable oil finds anywhere in the world. And if the United Kingdom would use it, they'd be a wealthy country again. I could not get Starmer to use it. And then he said, the new gentleman, when I spoke to him, I think he was struggling a bit with Andy Burnham's name by this stage, said he was going to open up the North Sea. Let's see if that's true. So I think we're in a holding pattern here where Trump is going to keep an eye on it. He'll probably raise it on every occasion where they meet, or it will be raised in media questions. It was, after all, GB News that put the question to Trump in the Oval Office this afternoon that got these answers. So it's not going to go away. And Trump soured on Sir Keir Starmer when he began to think that he wasn't quite following policies that he approved of. Mainly, of course, it was allowing the use of bases for American attacks on Iran. He's keeping an eye on that too with Andy Burnham. And so I think the only conclusion we can reach is that the jury is very much out, because Trump has a positive first impression, but he's clearly going to keep an eye on where Andy Burnham takes these policies.
Yeah, I wonder how the US will. We were just hearing from Jim Townsend saying that he thought that the US would be encouraged by the news we're getting tonight that Andy Burnham is going to invest £8.4 billion in the next stage of the UK's dreadnought nuclear deterrent submarine build programme in Barrow-in-Furness. Jim Townsend saying that he thought that the US administration would be encouraged by that. Do you think that's right?
Yeah, well, they will look at whether it's new money or whether that does move Britain further closer to the new NATO targets, because we know that actually the Department of Defence, well, now it's the War Department, of course, is basically keeping a close eye on NATO allies to see if they are meeting promises that they've all made in the presence of President Trump, that they will eventually get to this 5% target. And so, again, this does sound like a positive, but the White House is acutely aware that people often say things to appease President Trump that sound good, but are they? Is it a little bit of smoke and mirrors? Is it really going to happen?
And there's already a lot of pressure on Andy Burnham and the new Chancellor John Healey to say when we're going to hit even 3% of spending of GDP on defence, whether we're going to get to that by 2030. Just finally, David, how do you think the chemistry between Andy Burnham and Donald Trump might play out? I mean, they're from very different political backgrounds, but maybe they can find some common ground, and these personal relationships really matter, don't they? Particularly to the president.
I think they've got one thing in common, which is innovative use of social media to try and reach their base and reach their target voters. That's certainly what we've seen from Andy Burnham's first week, isn't it? And Donald Trump is as a very regular user of his own social media sites to speak directly to voters. Well, when they get together, I don't think Andy Burnham's actually in a terrific rush to either come to Washington or to see Donald Trump. We know he's invited him to the G20 in Manchester next year. I'm not sure if he's coming to the UN annual meeting, which is happening in September. That could be their first opportunity to actually meet, and it'll just be fascinating to see how they get along when they're in each other's company. But I think that there's no reason that Andy Burnham wouldn't get along with him in a press conference, unless there's some very mischievous question that throws it in a difficult direction.
Always potential for that. David Charter, Assistant US Editor for The Times. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Carole.